Rockford's home for classic rock, 96.7 The Eagle. Good morning, I'm Double T. Special guest joining me, bass player, singer, songwriter, member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame band, the Moody Blues. It's John Lodge. John, how you doing today?
Yeah, fine, thank you. Thanks very much.
You got a new song out now called In These Crazy Times, and it wasn't the normal way that you put it together. Explain how you got this done.
Yeah, well, I finished my tour of the U.S. In Boston, March the 9th, I think, and I came down to Florida where my son lives and grandson, and my wife was down here waiting for me. We're going to have a couple of weeks vacation before I went back to the U.K. to do some concerts and the 50th anniversary of the Isle of Wight Festival. And then all things changed 5 days later in total lockdown here, and it's just my wife and I, and we didn't really see anyone for the next month, the first month of lockdown. And I thought, what am I going to do, And I thought I'd try and make something creative out of this period of time. And I had no equipment here, so I went out and bought myself, didn't go out. Amazon.com came to the rescue, to be honest. Got myself an Apple computer and some power speakers and a keyboard and microphones and just set my own little studio up, and I thought I'd just make some demos. And as I was working around trying to write demos and put things together, I suddenly thought, well, it's no good making demos because I can't get into a studio. I better try and make something that would be record wise right. And so I started to write new songs, and I wrote In These Crazy Times and recorded it in my little home studio here. And I thought, who's going to sing backing vocals? And I said to my wife, you know what? You're going to have to sing backing vocals for me. And she's never done anything like that before in her life, but she's got a great voice. And so I taught her the song. 2 takes later, she recorded it, so I couldn't believe it. And when I listened to it, her voice and mine really sort of work well together. And then I thought I needed guitar solo. And my son plays guitar, Christian. He's a Dave Gilmour fan, really. And I said to him, he plays as a hobby. It's not his career. And I said, come on, you've got to come and record with Dad. So I sent him the files to his house, and he recorded the guitar, and he sent it to me, and I was blown away. I couldn't believe it. It's just fantastic. And then I'd been touring with John Davidson and Yes, and John's been on the road with me as well this year. John Davidson, I've been on tour last year with the Royal Affair tour, and John's been kind enough to be on the road with me this year on my solo tour. So I sent him the files. I said, John, would you put some backing vocals on? And he did. And I said, it all came back to me here in Florida, and I sent it in to my front of the house engineer, Ray Nesbitt, and I said, Ray, you've got a mixing console. Can you mix this for me? And he did, and he sent it back to me, and we adjusted a few things. And then finally, we've got a master. And I couldn't believe it. We've actually made a master. And my daughter manages me, Emily, and I said, Emily, I've got this song, you've got to listen to it. And she took over the whole project, and here we are. I'm talking to you, and the record's released.
I'm talking to John Lodge. He's from the Moody Blues. He's got a new song out called In These Crazy Times. And talk about crazy, did you ever think back when you started playing music that you'd be able to do all this at home, then get the song done, and then immediately release it to the fans like that?
It's just amazing. I mean, it's nowadays to get a record released takes months. My last album, I think, after I'd finished the album, it took at least 4 months for it to get out there, and I'm really excited about how this all happened, Soon as I finished the song, I wanted it released, and my daughter did a great job, and there it is. It's on, all the places, Amazon, Spotify, iTunes, CD Baby, everything, and I'm just amazed that it can be done, and particularly at this time, we're all in lockdown, and music for me is the one thing that's kept me pretty sane. Really, I play music all day long, and you need that. You need the inspiration, every day. Otherwise, every day is Groundhog Day.
You know what I'm really hoping for is that a lot of musicians, and I think it's happening, are getting inspired, and all of a sudden we're just going to get flooded with all kinds of new music because a lot of bands have spent so much time on the road, they don't have the time to write and record anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. The big problem is you can't get together with anyone to do it. The only way you can do it is the way, I did it, by sending the files to people, because the way to really create in a band is have your band around you, and then everybody's adding their little bits, and you move along slowly that way, like at a snail's pace, but you keep the creativity part going, which is really important. And it's so easy to write a song and send it off to someone, and someone just arranges it and sends it back to you. And then that may not be what you really want as a band, It may not be exactly where you're at. But, so that's the big difficulty with being in lockdown. You can't actually have someone around you and experiment with different ways of doing things.
You guys have made some legendary music in the Moody Blues and through your solo career, too. Is that something that you think you guys could have done back in the day, or do you think, no, there's no way we could have done recording this way?
I don't know. I don't think we could have done, because when there's a lot of you all together, I don't know really. It's very difficult to go back and think about those things, because when we recorded Days of Future Past, there was just a producer and an engineer, and we had 2 4-track machines. That's all we had to record. So we were creating all the while, and we, really couldn't put a foot wrong, because if you recorded something and then it went on the tape, it was there forever, whether it was right or wrong, So you had to try and create exactly what you wanted it to be and stand by it. So it would have been great, actually, to have this situation. I'd love it if I had the rest of my 10,000 Light Year band here in my little home studio and we played together. I just love that, because I'm sure we could create lots of things.
As a songwriter, do you prefer the process of taking and creating and writing the song, or taking it to the fans of Final Project?
I think when you write a song, you're standing there pretty naked with a blank piece of paper and a pen and a bass or a guitar or a piano, however you write the song, and there's no one involved except you. But the gratification really is if you find an audience, that really enjoy your music, And so for me, it's fantastic to get on stage and perform the songs that hopefully have a meaning to people and maybe inspirational, and gets them through the day, I don't know. I just enjoy having that relationship with an audience.
The first time I ever saw you guys live when you were playing with the Moody Blues was here in Rockford, and you played with the symphony. What was the process of getting that? Because it's hard enough, the members of a band putting a live show together, but adding another wrinkle like a symphony to it. What kind of process was that to put that together?
Well, the first concert we did was with the Colorado Symphony Orchestra. That was like 1992, I think. And we were really nervous about doing it, to be honest. And we only had one day of rehearsal before the concert. And we spent the whole day rehearsing with the orchestra. And the next day we rehearsed at the concert before the concert itself. And then we realized it does work, The Moody Blues and an orchestra really works. And we spent a lot of time trying to work out how we could get that to work on the road. And we devised a fantastic way of doing it. What we did, we recorded the show, what we were doing, and then the orchestra would rehearse to that tape. They would rehearse to that before we actually got there. So the orchestra knew what to expect, from us on stage. And our drummer would have the sort of click track in his ear, and he would lead the conductor. And then the conductor would conduct the orchestra. So that way we were always in time with an orchestra. And it worked. It just worked. And we ended up, I think, doing probably about 300 concerts with orchestras around the world.
When I watched that show, I was just amazed and I was blown away. And I'm like, how do they do that with a different orchestra at each city? It's got to be amazing.
Well, the incredible part was that so many of the concerts, we couldn't actually rehearse with the orchestra. There was not time because of the schedules. So we would actually get to a venue, and our conductor, who was there before us, and he'd obviously rehearsed with the orchestra, he would tell us, hey, we've got a fantastic orchestra tonight. And we go on the stage blind, with not even performing, even a sound check with the orchestra. We just actually go on stage and perform the whole concert.
I'm talking to John Lodge, bass player, singer, songwriter, member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Moody Blues. His new song, In These Crazy Times, is out now. Are you writing more music? You going to release more stuff? What's your plan for the rest of the year?
Yeah, I've got a few projects I'm doing. I've got a few new songs I've done, and I've recorded a few other things, and I'm really excited. I've got quite a few little projects going on, and last year I toured with Yes and the Royal Affair tour, and I recorded the concerts that I did. So when we can get in the studio sometime, I should be mixing that album, and hopefully by the spring of next year I'll have a Royal Affair John Lodge album out, the live concert. So anyone that came to that concert would like, to remember what the concert was, that'll be there, So that's one. And I've got a few other songs that I've been working on and recording. But, I still have to work it through my home studio here because there's no studio, can't get into a studio. And so it's a big learning curve as well for me.
If people are looking for you, they want to keep up with you, what you're doing, where can they find you on the internet?
JohnLodge.com and also called MoodyBluesToday.com. But JohnLodge.com is my website, and the MoodyBluesToday.com is the Moody Blues site.
Well, John, thank you so much for taking the time today. It's great chatting with you. It's a fascinating story how you put that song together, and I can't wait to hear more music out of you in the near future.
Thank you very much, ET, and all the best to you. Stay safe.
It's John Lodge from the Moody Blues on Rockford's Home for Classic Rock 96.7 The Eagle.